Hey guys, it's Lorie, and welcome back to my channel. So, this video is going to be a combination of different things. So I'm going to talk about the books that I read in January and also some things that happened in January as to why I didn't really post as many videos. Like, the month of January was kind of crazy. I had just started college again, and it's my first time taking college, or like going back to college full time. So I've been back in college now for a couple of semesters, but I had never done it full time. It had always been part-time. And to be honest, I was pretty overwhelmed with the amount of work that I actually had acquired from all of my full-time classes. Like, I didn't really anticipate the amount of work that I actually got. I tend to do this thing too where I am a really ambitious person, and I will literally pile up so much stuff to where, like, it's not possible for like a normal person to do a million things. But for some reason, I hold myself to a ridiculous standard, and if I don't do said things, then I just in general feel really crappy about myself, and I fall into like a pit of depression, and it's just a really vicious, endless cycle for me. So in January, that kind of happened where I started school again, and some of you guys know that I have two kids. I have a 6-year-old daughter and I have a 14-month-old son, and also I stream on Twitch 3 days out of the week, and I just have a lot of stuff going on. I own a house as well. It's just really, really crazy, and I just always end up piling so much stuff on my plate, and then it gets to the point where I'm just like, wow, what did I do? Because now I'm like drowning in things, and then yeah. It's real smart, real fun times. So basically what I'm trying to say is, yeah, I got overwhelmed in January, and I kind of put my booktube videos on the back burner while I tried to, stay afloat basically. It is now, I believe, like the second week of February, and I feel a little bit more accustomed to my overall workload, and of course, I want to get back into doing booktube videos. So here I am. I also know that I mentioned in a previous video too that I kind of manage everything by planning my time out really wisely, but honestly, like, even with a lot of planning, you still can't anticipate how much like work everything is and how overwhelmed you can potentially be by just piling too much stuff on yourself. So I just kind of want to reiterate that take care of yourself. Don't be like me. Don't pile a ton of stuff on your plate and then eventually become overwhelmed and then just say, screw everything. So yeah, I do apologize that there weren't as many videos last month, and that the next couple of videos that are coming out are going to be a little outdated, including my haul video. I have a January haul video that I recorded in the beginning of January that's going to be posted either before this video or after this video. It's going to be around the same time, and it is incredibly outdated. I'm like talking about January. I'm just like, yeah, it's the first week of January, but I did film a little intro just to let you guys know too that, obviously it's not January anymore, and it is a little outdated, but I still wanted to share with you guys the books that I got in January. So anyway, that is enough rambling. I'm going to talk about some book stuff now. So first and foremost, I wanted to wrap up the books that I read in January. As I mentioned, January was a really, really busy month for me, and it was kind of crazy, so I didn't actually read as much as I really, really wanted to. And on top of that, I think I completely deviated from my TBR that I set in January once again. So I read 2 novels in January, and I also read a graphic novel comic sort of thing as well. The first book that I read in January is actually When Dimple Met Rishi by Sanya Menon. And this book was okay. Like, as I said, I was feeling really down and just bummed out, and I didn't have a lot of free time to read a whole lot. So I wanted to read something that was like light and fluffy, and that just made me feel overall good. So I picked this up, and it definitely did that. This was a really, really cute read. It was really light and fluffy. I did have a couple of problems with it though. One of the main issues I had with it was the main character, Dimple. She was like slightly abusive to Rishi. Like, even if it's just playful and stuff, it just got to the point where like she would literally hit him super, super hard. and I'm just not about that. Like, I'm not about that. So this was definitely okay. Like I said, I had that problem, and then also I just wasn't really a fan of Dimple as a character. Like, I don't know what it was. I don't know, there's something about Dimple that just kind of put me off, and I was kind of annoyed with her. I really liked Rishi though. Rishi was really, really great. So I believe I gave this like a 3 stars on Goodreads, but I think it's more of like a 2.5 for me. The next thing that I actually read in January is this graphic novel. It's called Darth Vader, Imperial Machine, and it is by several writers. I think Charles Sewell, and the artist is Giuseppe Canucoli. I totally butchered those names probably. I'm so sorry. But yeah, this was amazing. I really, really enjoyed this comic. For those of you guys who don't know, I am a pretty big Darth Vader fan. Like, I say big, more like huge. I love Darth Vader, and I really enjoy Star Wars as well. So anything that has Darth Vader in it and, you know, learning more about him as a character, like his background, I'm totally down for. So this graphic, I want to say graphic novel, maybe it's a comic. I don't know if there's like a huge difference. Graphic novel, comic, whatever. This came out, I believe, in December. I think it came out in December. It was definitely a recent release, and this is great. It takes place right after episode 3, so it's like literally right after Anakin's like, no, and you find out what happens after that. And so it goes into detail about how he kind of, you know, goes from angry Anakin into badass Darth Vader. But of course, you know, early on, he's still pretty much Anakin, and there's still him not really mastering his craft as a Sith Lord. So there's a lot of really good stuff in here. I don't want to spoil it, but if you are interested in Darth Vader and learning about what happens, like how he kind of becomes the badass Darth Vader, then I definitely recommend these comics. I think the second one comes out in a couple of months from now, I think. I don't exactly remember, but you can get this off of Amazon or find it like at a bookstore. It's really, really good. Really quick read too. Very, very, very awesome illustrations as well. The art is really, really great. So highly recommend. Also, I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars too. I really enjoyed it. I think that it definitely portrayed Darth Vader, Anakin, like perfectly, and overall I really enjoyed it. So the next book that I read in the month of January is actually Beneath the Sugar Sky by Sinan McGuire. This is the 3rd book in the Wayward Children series, and the second book was actually kind of like a companion to the series, kind of like a prequel, whereas this one kind of continues where the first book left off. I did really enjoy this one, but I definitely did not enjoy it as much as I enjoyed the first and second one for some reason. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's because I miss the twins, but I don't know. I honestly, I don't know what it was. I gave this a 3.5 stars on Goodreads, but I did enjoy it. It kind of, like, I don't want to go too much into it too because it is kind of spoilers. If you have read the first book, then like you can kind of jump into this one without having to read the second one, although I definitely recommend reading the second book because the second book is like my favorite in the series. It's really dark and gritty, but it takes place in the land that Sumi is from, so it is a nonsense world, and it's like, I don't know, it's like Candyland. It's really like bright and like silly, and it was pretty good. It was okay. I did like the main character though. The thing that Sinan McGuire does really, really well is representing so many different people in her books, and there's so much amazing representation in this series, and it's just done really, really well. I highly recommend. If you like representation in books and you just like diverse books, this is really, really great series. So those were all the books that I read in January. So next I'm going to share with you guys my TBR for February, although I did want to touch on TBRs very quickly before I get into that. So as you guys might have noticed, I tend to sometimes deviate from my TBRs every couple of months or so. Like, I do believe I have a couple of wrap-ups where I literally say I deviated from my TBR. And I know some other like booktubers do this, just other readers do this in general. Like, you make a list in your mind of books that you want to read, and then you're like, I don't really feel like reading that. And I think that's completely okay. I, for one, personally, I am a mood reader. And if I'm not in the mood to read a specific book, I'm not gonna be into it. No matter how much I love the series or not, no matter how much I've been like anticipating reading said book, if I'm not in the mood to read that specific genre or read about that character or whatever, I'm just not gonna be into it. So I wanted to mention that, and I'm still going to attempt to do like TBRs for the month, but I did want to let you guys know that I most likely am gonna deviate, although there have been a couple of months where like I've completed my TBR, but a lot of those months too were just the books that I was in the mood for. Like for instance, in October, I read like a crap ton of like spooky, unsettling books. But I mean, I was in the mood for those types of books, so I ended up reading like a ton of them. So anyway, without further ado, I'm gonna share with you guys the books that I plan to read in the month of February. So the first book on my list, I've actually already read it, but I will talk about said book, obviously, at the end of the month, and I'm also planning on possibly doing a review for this month of the book as well. It'll be my first review. And that book is The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. As you guys can see, I've kind of annotated my book. I was not anticipating on finishing this book as quick as I did. I was like, okay, I'll just start reading it and then I'll talk about it in my TBR because I'm probably not gonna have it finished by the time I do a TBR, right? Right? Wrong. Absolutely wrong. I finished this book in like a day and a half or something, maybe a little bit longer. I don't know. I finished it really, really quickly. Like, definitely thought it was going to take me a little bit longer. But this is the book that I had planned on reading this month, and I read it, so there's that. The next book that I plan on reading this month is Forest of 1,000 Lanterns by Julie C. Dow. And I've actually already started this book, and as you can see, I'm a pretty good portion in. I'm probably like maybe 40% in of the book, and I am enjoying the heck out of it. So I can't wait to talk about it, or actually can't wait to finish it and then talk about it. But this book is basically a retelling of the evil queen set in a East Asian world. The main character is going through internal battles where she wants to be a good person, but she is a pretty ambitious person at heart, and she kind of had a crappy childhood, so she's dealing with what the cards dealt her. It's really good. I'm really enjoying it. So the next book that I'm planning on hopefully reading this month is a book that was on my January TBR, and that is Crooked Kingdom by Leigh Bardugo. I really do want to finish this book, but I don't know what's going on with the beginning of it, but I feel like it's really hard for me to get into the book because of the beginning. The beginning feels a little slow for me. I don't know if anybody else went through that when starting Crooked Kingdom. And it's obviously killing me because I love Six of Crows so much and I just want to find out what happens. Like, I just want to know that everyone's okay and that everything is going to be okay, but it's so hard for me to get into the beginning of the book. I don't know why, but I'm going to push through this month, hopefully. Hopefully. This is my next read after Forest of 1,000 Lanterns, I think. The next book that I'm hopefully planning on reading this month is Gemina by Jay Kristoff and Amy Kaufman. So this is the second book in the Illuminate Files? Yeah, the Illuminate Files series, and this series is so good, and I believe Obsidio comes out next month, so I really want to finish up Gemina and hopefully be stoked about Obsidio and then read Obsidio when it comes out, I think. Maybe, we'll see. Because I did really enjoy the first book, and I don't know why it's taken me so long to read this, but one of my friends, she's actually on YouTube, but she's not currently posting BookTube videos. Mystic's Library, she's actually reading through the Illuminate series, and she just bought Gemina. So we're probably gonna buddy read this book, and I'm really excited to read along with her and just go through all the feels with her, because she's a really good friend of mine, so. And the last and final book that I'm hoping to get to this month is Scarlet by Marissa Meyer. This was another book that was on my January TBR, but I just didn't get to it. I deviated completely from it. So most people know about the Lunar Chronicles. This is just the second book in the series out of many, many books of the series. And I am looking forward to getting to it because I really do want to know what happens. Cinder left on a pretty big cliffhanger, and I really want to know. I want to know what's going on, and I think this is told from a different perspective, like a different character perspective, so I want to know what that's about and just find out what's going on. So those are all the books that I'm hoping to read this month. I've been doing pretty good so far. So far I've been reading at a pretty good pace, and I already finished one book, so we'll see how it goes. So that's gonna be it for this hopefully not too long video. I wanted to combine the January wrap-up and then also the February TBR because my January wrap-up was pretty small, and then, you know, I just wanted to combine them both this month. So what are you guys reading this month? Let me know down below, and if you have any recommendations, as always, I am happy to hear them. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to give it a legendary thumbs up and subscribe for more videos in the future. I will see you guys next time. Have a wonderful day. Bye!